Can we just do this? What is his duty as the Attorney General? One side. What is his duty as the Minister of Justice?
Okay.
Because we're talking now about one person sitting on both chairs.
Yes.
So, can we just separate his duties and see if indeed he can perform those two duties in an unbiased fashion?
Yes. Yeah.
So, what is his duty as the Attorney General?
Now, there are two offices fused into one.
Yeah.
Attorney General, Minister for Justice. Now, I believe personally now, it's a contradiction in terms. One person cannot discharge those functions without some form of conflict. Now, irrespective, no matter, this is not about integrity. It is not about the personality. If you are a Minister for Justice, you are a political appointee. Usually, you are a party member. Now, an Attorney General, as envisaged under the Constitution, is supposed to be, yes, a professional to the core, somebody who protects the interest of the state when it comes to the issues of law, who is ready to come as low as that man in the village in order to enforce his or her rights. Are you with me? So when you take an Attorney General acting for the government, who is the mouthpiece, the chief legal officer of the government, how do you want him, for instance, when the issue of basic salary, 18,000 naira, for instance, when that issue crops up and you have federal government say, oh, we can pay 18,000 naira. State government say, no, we can't pay 18,000 naira. The federal government cannot force us to do that. Now, what will the Attorney General do as the chief law officer? Let's go to America. You have a situation where you have the office of the Attorney General. You have the independent public prosecutor. When the Clinton issue came up, about the lady, when it came up, Lewinsky, I mean, there were issues relating to whether, oh, this man is fit and proper to remain there. The public prosecutor did his own role. He had nothing to do with the Attorney General. And he was able to discharge his functions creditably well. Forget the nomenclature. In Nigeria, we may not call it public prosecutor, independent, or whatever. We may not call it, in America, they may not call the person Minister for Justice. I believe that in terms of roles, what the chief law officer does as Attorney General in Nigeria is simply to defend the interest of the government. That is why, when, for instance, election matters come up, and you have a situation where INEC has to hire lawyers, parties have to hire lawyers. I mean, that you cannot have an Attorney General, for instance, representing Mr. President. You cannot have him at the state level. You can't have the Attorney General representing the government who is now in power. Now, I think I agree that there should be separation.
Okay.
I don't care what name is ascribed to who is doing what. But the time has come that in Nigeria, we have to put a man of square pegs in square holes. You need to have somebody who will fight for the average Nigerian in respect of any issues of law. You have a situation where the state government, in most states, they are not paying salaries. Can the state Attorney General take up the fight on behalf of the workers? Why should somebody go home unpaid for 6 months? The Attorney General can never fight the governor on that.
Why? Because the governor appointed.
He was appointed by the governor. He who pays the piper dictates the tone. So, but if you have an independent person who occupies an office, he should not even be appointed. He should come in probably by election, or appointed by a totally independent body sanctioned by the National Assembly. When that person comes,
the NJC.
Like that, no, not the NJC.
Okay.
I mean, totally. I don't want to speculate now.
Okay.
But if there's somebody who knows that the president cannot hire and fire me, he can spit in the face of the president and get away with it.
Do you agree absolutely with him that there should be separation of those two offices?
Absolutely with him that there should be separation, because from the experience we have had, it is very difficult for one single individual to be able to strike that delicate balance of protecting the interests of the government as well as protecting the interests of the citizenry. And then, one is a political appointee. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice is a political appointee. His loyalty is to the government that
appoints him.
And then and very often it is very difficult for that appointee to disagree openly, constitutionally, or with the appointer. and then we need, in civilized and mature democracies, where it is very possible for them to remove the element of conflict of interest. Yes, you can fuse the two. But with the kind of tendencies we have in our own society today, and given the fact that people are entrenched in their beliefs, in terms of loyalties, it's very difficult for you to be able to function effectively, because I have seen a lot of public interest cases that ought to be ideally championed by the Attorney General of the Federation. Okay. But because of this conflict of interest, because such championing might be seen as a display of disloyalty. And then the man is put on top. Yes. And the man is on spot. So if we separate it, one will know that is discharging strictly a professional duty. Is a technocrat acting on behalf an ombudsman on behalf of the society. One will also know that being a political appointee, he owes his allegiance to the government. So because of the difficulty in striking that balance, those who have called for separation have a justification. But in addition to that, the raging controversy now is whether the president is entitled to appoint the Attorney General and Minister of Justice or the NJC. You will see that this president, withholding assent from this amendment, part of the reasons he gave is that if you say NJC should appoint, then indirectly you are assaulting the principle of separation of powers. NJC is an arm of the judiciary. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice is an officer of the executive. So if you take away the powers of the president and to appoint to the NJC, you might be assaulting the principle of separation of powers.
But what if the powers are separated?
That is the
executive's argument.
Yeah, that's the executive argument, and to some extent, there's some kind of merit in that argument if our constitutional democracy is anchored principally on separation of powers.
Mr. Shitu,
yes.
If the argument of the president there, what if the powers are the offices are separated? NJC appoints the Attorney General of the Federation, the president appoints his Minister of Justice.
Well, that can also be okay. That is because that can be feasible. That is an agreement that can be feasible. But all of this, like I said, is an ongoing process. In a federation, amendment of the Constitution is work in progress. In amending a constitution, you have two approaches that you need to consider, two very fundamental principles that you need to consider. One is the timing. The second is the approach. Timing and approach. When will it be ripe for you to amend? And the answer to it, in my own view, is that as a lacuna exists, or as a need arises, you amend. So you cannot particularly tie it to a particular timing. Then what approach will you use? You use a wholesale approach of amending the entire constitution, having a brand new constitution, or you have a piecemeal approach, in which case you amend as a situation arises.
Okay.
You don't change the entire document. Yes.
Let's just take this phone call from James from Delta State. Hello, James. Hello, James.
Hello?
Hello, James. Go ahead. Your contribution, please.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, go ahead. Make your contribution.
I can hear you.
Do you have a contribution for us?
Yes, later, please. Thank you. I want the two speakers to respond to the lady's question. They should define for us the role of the Justice Minister
Yes.
And the role of the Attorney General.
Yes.
Which
And the role of Attorney General. They are just talking. They should respond to that question. What is the role of the Attorney General of the Federation and the role of a Justice Minister? Define them properly so that we can understand, we can follow this discussion. Thank you.